Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Terry. I'm a teacher educator from the UK. So it's a good question. Why do educators need to continue to learn about diversity issues throughout their career? I think it's very important that, when these questions are phrased, we often, I think, see it from the reverse, in that we think that somehow we need to do diversity for the benefit of the diverse population, when actually the benefit comes to ourselves. The worst kind of businesses or schools or echo chambers, basically, that hear their own opinions coming back to them with nothing developing, nothing different. What you want really as an educator is to learn new things, and one of the great benefits of diversity, which is why it's the reverse of what is normally thought about, is that diversity brings you so much, so many different ideas, ways of doing things, different approaches, different cultures. It enriches teaching teams, it enriches schools, it enriches students and student life. It gives so many benefits that if you didn't have diversity, you would have to go and seek it out. And you sometimes find that in schools that aren't diverse, they go out and try and seek connections because they know they're at a disadvantage. A disadvantage because they won't have these different ideas, these different approaches, these different ways to think about things. So it's important that diversity is seen as an extremely positive thing, because it is. And if you don't think of it as a positive thing, then your school, your educational establishment will fall behind, because you won't be able to get all those amazing benefits that other schools, educators are having. I think, again, it's important to think about, diversity as well as giving you all these extra ideas and differences of opinion. The other thing to think about with diversity is it's constantly changing. So you need to constantly be updated with new people's views, different groups of ethnic groups that might come into your connections with, seek them out, because even within different groups and cultures, there is change. People's change, cultures change. Even within a group, even within a technically similar ethnic group, there will be massive amounts of diversity and change. The group, even if it was a pure single ethnic block, even with that, there'll be multiple differences. But even if you came back to the same block 5 years later, there'll be huge changes. Younger generations have different ideas than the elders. Groups split, coalesce, new ideas form, new ideas become the norm. So it's very important that you're constantly thinking about diversity, updating, making sure your groups reflect diverse cultures and ideas, so that you can get all that benefits of different views and different people's opinions. You should be doing it personally, because you'll be coming across different groups of people, and you have to try and get an understanding of different groups and what they might be able to bring, and benefits, and ways to try and avoid offending people, because you don't want to defending people is not for the point of view of the people's themselves. You're not thinking about it, oh well, I don't want to offend people, so those people aren't offended. What you want to do is you don't want to offend people, because you don't want to off-board, or you don't want to have people that are not helping you. You're not going to get any. You're going to get less benefits if you're offending people within your group. So again, you have to think of it the other way around. People need to be appreciated. Diversity needs to be found for all the benefits it can bring to your group, to you as a person, to your students, to your whole establishment. So I think that is essentially the key. And again, like I said, it needs to be constantly updated, because diversity updates all the time. Things change, cultures change, ideas change, ethnicities change. We're in this massive melting pot where it is constantly updating and evolving. The final thing I would say as well, as an educator, you must realise that you're teaching the students for the world they're going to go into, and they're going to come across many different diverse groups, and they need to be ready. They need to have experience of interacting with them. In school it might not be perfect interactions as they're learning how to work with different groups, but what you don't want them is to have some kind of single ethnicity or single culture group that they live with all the time. Then they go out into the world and have to come across these different groups of people for the first time. When they're older, maybe their minds have become fixed, and they find it harder to adapt to new ways. You can see it a lot that's where you often find the insensitivities, the cultural differences, problems within society, is when they come from a single group that haven't been exposed to different ethnicities. Yes, there may be tension within these groups, especially in schools. Maybe you have different ethnic tensions, but that's the place to work it out. That's the place to get people's experience of how to behave and how to get on with different kinds of people. So I think that's really why it's important. And I think it's important for educators to constantly update themselves for their own benefit, to improve themselves, to improve their thinking, to improve their own teaching practice and pedagogy. It's very, very important that you are constantly learning as an educator, because that is what you're trying to teach others.